If you've ever felt drained, confused, or hijacked by energies that aren't yours, it may not be just your trauma. You might be dealing with something deeper than just trauma, and it's called spiritual infiltration. And this is especially common after narcissistic abuse. And I'm going to talk to you, lovely people, about that today, you thrivers, because I want to explain to you what spiritual infiltration is, how it actually happens, and how you can clear it for good. Because until we do clear spiritual infiltration, and it's insidious and you may not even realize it's there, and a lot of people don't until you start clearing it, and then you think, oh my God, I can't believe how different I feel. Because until you start clearing it, you are not going to feel your sovereignty or as safe and as powerful or as connected to your intuition, to source, your mission, your abilities, as what you could have when you were carrying it. And you may have been carrying it your whole life, and we're going to look at that. So I'm also going to invite you into learning about a sacred space that I've got coming up in a few days' time, Tuesday, Australia time, which is called Spa for Your Soul. So, welcome, beautiful thrivers, and lovely to see you here to another Thriver TV Live. And we're going to go deep and quantum to release what's holding you back so that you can truly rise into your soul truth. And that's the love that I work the most. And it's the work that I see has the greatest effect on people recovering from narcissistic abuse, but also recovering from any skirmish or limitation in their life. If you don't know who I am, I'm Melanie Tonia Evans. I'm creator of the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program, and I'm the founder of Quantum Freedom Healing. Most people sadly never truly recover from narcissistic abuse, let alone thrive after it, because they're trying to heal it cognitively. But 95% of our lives is driven by subconscious programs. And NARP works. My work works because real healing is happening deep at the body level, in the quantum level, at the subconscious level, that shifts trauma fast and for good. And today we're talking about something that doesn't get spoken about often enough: spiritual infiltration. And it's affecting empaths, healers, and those who've been narcissistically abused everywhere, because a huge amount of narcissistic abuse happens psychically. It's at a deep spiritual level. It literally feels like a psychic virus. And the reason is because narcissists, sadly, are psychic parasites. They can't create their own energy. And they're also psychic vampires. So let me know in the chat if you've had that feeling that this isn't normal, this isn't natural, there's got to be something else going on here, because I literally feel like somebody's put like hoses into me and they are sucking energy out of me. That's exactly what it feels like. It also feels like that you've been permeated like a big black dark ink that is just seeping through your whole body. Unless you've been through it, you could never explain it to somebody. They wouldn't be able to get what you're feeling because they haven't had those feelings, but they're pretty consistent with narcissistic abuse. So let me know if you've ever felt those feelings. Just say yes in the chat if you felt this, if you sensed that something was off in your field. And maybe it feels like your light's dimmed. You feel like you've got a soul injury and your light's never going to get turned on again. Maybe you felt like you've had thoughts that just aren't your own thoughts. And maybe your body or your energy is feeling hijacked by something foreign. You can't quite explain what it is, but it's like, I don't know that this is even the way I think or the way I feel. And maybe you've tried to ground or meditate or cut cords, but it's worked, but only temporarily. And maybe you've even done quantum freedom healing shifts on it, but just maybe you just quite haven't gone deep enough yet. And it's kept coming back. And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about today. Because there are forces, just because we can't see them doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's like our emotions. You can't go to the doctor and get an x-ray and they say, well, you've got a 20-pound grief bucket in there, but you know your grief exists. The unseen world is very, very real. And we could even argue that everything that is from the seen world that we do see, it started in the unseen world. There's so much power there in our subconscious, in the field, and in transmissions that are happening at that level. And there are forces. There are energetic, psychic forces, sometimes even entities. And I don't want to scare people and make people freak out about that, but this is just the truth, that can hook into you, especially through our unhealed trauma, and they can feed off your light. When you think about narcissistic entities, they're not connected to source. They don't, true self from the inside out is connected to source with heart open, which means that you're getting a feeling of fulfillment, you're getting a feeling of love, you're getting a feeling of life force and well-being. Narcissists have completely disowned their inner true self. They've cut themselves off from light and source. So they're literally in separation consciousness, in their ego, in the false self, me versus the world, cut off from true source. They don't have their own light source. So they are immediately created as parasites who have to hook in to other beings to get an energy source from the outside in. And that's why they are frenetically chasing approval and narcissistic supply in order to try to feed their forever depleted sources that they're never manufacturing for themselves. So this is why narcissists are a huge, huge part of spiritual infiltration. And we think that, well, because I'm a light source, I'm a target. And that's true, yes and no. We are a light source because we've got light to offer up. We've got empathy, we've got compassion, we've got capacity. You know, we'll get in and we'll fix the messes for other people, and we'll provide people with what they need, that we keep the fires burning and the bills paid, etc. For a narcissist to be a narcissist, it may be sex and affection and approval and acclaim and all the things they're chasing. But the thing is, if we've got boundaries and we've sealed up our wounds, then we can no longer be targeted, because narcissists will actually connect to you through our gaps where we can be infiltrated. It's kind of the same with parasites in your life. If you've got toxins in your body, the parasites can hook into that and feed off it and then drain the good from you. And narcissists are exactly the same. So that's kind of really important to remember, because when we heal what we need to heal, we actually eject the parasite, which can be any of these darker entities, contracts, agreements that we've made, lower self-thinking and hooks that are keeping us stuck in a lower vibration where our energy is drained and we're really not operating as our true self. So let's have a look at a deeper thing, is what is spiritual infiltration? Spiritual infiltration happens when any part of us is still in the dark and not healed, and it's disconnected from the light and disconnected from our true higher self, which is the light that does hold us in love, truth, clarity, and sovereignty. And that connection to source doesn't mean we don't have to be perfect to have that. We don't have to be perfect. We just need to be in presence. We just need to be in openness and vulnerability and integrity and accountability and the desire to grow. We don't have to be perfectly healed from our wounds, and we don't have to earn that love and approval. We just need to be open to it. Okay, but when we're in trauma, fear, shame, when we're not doing the inner work, when we're in our defenses around our unhealed wounds, and we're trying to seek the healing from people outside of ourselves who are never going to be the savior of our wounds. They're always going to be the mirror of them. What happens is our field becomes vulnerable because we're out of alignment. We're not sourcing directly through our higher self for our healing and our growth. And what happens is this disconnection creates openings. It creates portals where lower forces can enter. And that's on every level. That's like on the microbial level in our bodies with literal microbial parasites. It means the people in our life can be parasitical entities, people that are not doing the work, people who are not holding their own light, people who don't take responsibility and accountability are going to be drawn to our light to try to feed off it and drain us, and also project their wounds onto us without taking responsibility for them, which is what narcissists do. We can also be literally attracting astral entities. I'm just going to keep it real. It's the truth. Especially too, if we are doing things to try to avoid our wounds rather than holding them in honesty and vulnerability and healing them, we can be doing self-avoidance, like, you know, eating really bad food or drinking alcohol or cigarettes or taking drugs or shopping or gambling or, you know, having sex addictions or porn addictions or things like that. What we're doing is we're attracting lower entities, astral entities, to attach to us, to suck whatever good there is out of us, but to also infiltrate us and to feed our egos rather than, which is always descension instead of ascension. So it's just important to understand. And the thing is, these forces, whether it's a narcissist or whether it's an astral thing, can be seductive and powerful or even helpful at first, but they're not connected to source light. And they actually thrive in chaos. And you know that about narcissists. They don't actually want peace and harmony and growth and expansion into a true authentic self or true authentic unity consciousness and relationships. They want to create separation and distance and chaos and pain because that's the environment that they thrive in. And because that allows control. Unity consciousness is about you and I are in this together and we're one and we're a team. Okay, that's not a parasitical entity environment. A parasitical entity environment, either human or non-human, is about I'm superior, faux superiority. I have no light, but I'm going to pretend I'm superior and believe I'm superior. And I'm superior by controlling and hurting you and keeping you down and sucking whatever good that you have. I can mine it to try to avoid my own wounds or better my experience. That's spiritual infiltration. And it happens at all sorts of levels. So these entities, human or non-human, are thriving off distortion, confusion, and control. Am I making sense to you? Let me know if this is too woo-woo for you or if this is resonating. Just let me know in the chat. Say facts if it's resonating. Say too woo-woo if it's too woo-woo. Okay, because these are conversations that I normally have in my Shifts Happen group. I don't normally have them at the front end like this, but it is such a part of narcissistic abuse. I feel like it's really important for me to have this conversation with you. And the thing is, even if you're kind of like, oh gosh, I think there's a part of you that can relate to this, because you know you've felt like this, like it's weird, it's mental, it doesn't make sense. Some of the things you're feeling and some of the things that you're experiencing, and it literally feels psychic spiritual. Okay? And you know, that's your intuition telling you that there are these things going on. So often, you know, these entities, human or non-human, can feel like twin flames. They can feel like divine messengers, which often narcissists do. But all you have to do is ask yourself, Am I feeling more whole, more at peace, more expanded, or am I feeling shaken, confused, and like I'm on a roller coaster? Am I feeling less or am I feeling more? Because you are being spiritually infiltrated in not a good way if you are feeling less. If your inner light is feeling fractured, and how do we know our inner light is feeling fractured? We're feeling less self-worth, less self-value, more confusion, and we're losing self-esteem. True self-esteem is a connection to source light. It's in our growth, it's in our development, it's in our inner work. And it's not fake. Self-esteem doesn't come through getting things, it comes through how we feel on the inside. And the thing is, narcissists have no self-esteem. They are a shame-based disorder. They actually feel incredibly broken, defective, and unworthy of love and attention. Hence why they created a false self that has to feed off other people's light to try to sustain their faux self. That's how it's happening. So are you feeling fractured? And the more fractured you start feeling, the more that portal opens. And that's the truth. And this can lead to despair or obsession. You might feel like you're anxiously attached. You may feel like you're trying to grasp onto a person, often the one hurting you, or situations or reassurance outside of yourself. And you're feeling less and less and less of yourself. That is because you don't have true spiritual sovereignty. You're actually experiencing spiritual infiltration. Okay, so true spiritual sovereignty can only come when you can get aware that you're getting infiltrated and you start clearing the hooks inside of you that are allowing it in. You can close the gateways and realign with your organic source light, where you're going to start feeling guided, protected, and free. Not perfectly healed, but in presence and held unconditionally no matter where you are. We do not have to be perfectly healed to be out of spiritual infiltration. We need to be awake, we need to be guided, and we need to be connected. I hope that makes sense. And you need to be aware of what's going on. So spiritual infiltration is when energy is getting into your field, your soul, your heart, your mind, that is not you, it's not of source, and it starts running the show of your life. Am I making sense? Is this making sense? Okay. Is there anybody here who doesn't feel like you've got any of that going on? Just say me in the chat. Just say me if you've got none of it happening in your life at all. Okay, because the truth is, most of us do even a little, and it's something that we've got to be aware of and keep working with. And it doesn't mean we get all funky and stupid and put up mirrors and blocks around us and, you know, I'm going to protect my energy and reflect it all back, because you're not alive. You're actually trapped in a cage where you can't expand, you can't thrive, you can't prosper, you can't have heart open, you can't have incredible relationships in your light. So what I'm going to be teaching you on Tuesday is not about how to close down and protect, because then I promise you the darkness just comes and smashes your walls in and comes at you anyway. I'm going to teach you how to have heart open and light and be expanded and be impervious to it in your growth, in your life, in your expansion, no matter what comes at you, and free and sovereign to be yourself. And it changes everything. So when we're not sovereign and we don't feel free, what does that look like? It looks like sudden anxiety that just doesn't feel like yours. You may just all of a sudden be feeling okay, and then bang, something hits you. Definitely obsessive thoughts when you can't stop obsessing about something or somebody. You are spiritually infiltrated. Point blank. Addictive urges. You're spiritually infiltrated. Point blank. A lot of people who are prone to addictions. And that is my life was. I've done so much work on that. Masses. Okay. It's absolutely spiritual infiltration. It happens to a lot of light workers as well. So a lot of light workers who are here for big missions, big paths, big purposes, there is literally infiltration tech that can hold you back. And that's a deeper conversation that I'm going to have with you on Tuesday about implants and other things. But that could be your fear of getting out in the world and presenting yourself and being seen. It's a terror. It's poverty curses that are holding you back so you can't be you in the world. You've got to work a job that you hate and you give all of your energy away for nothing and you feel like you're broken and you've got no energy to do your purpose. All sorts of infiltrations can happen. It totally is a polarity, a battle of dark versus light that happens to a lot of spiritual teachers that are here for big things. So if you've ever felt like I'm meant to be out in the world doing amazing things, one, very often you're going to get narcissistically abused because you have to get cracked open to find your light. So that pretty much is going to happen to you one way or another. Plus, you also need the inside out experience of being in the darkest depths of darkness to be able to find your light, activate it, and bring it to yourself and others to the world. Most of the most incredible spiritual teachers have been narcissistically abused. It'd be very difficult to find one that hasn't been. Okay, it's part of the curriculum. It's part of the initiation. It's part of the activation. But with all of this can come a lot of spiritual infiltration that could be the reason why you are not connecting to your heartfelt true purpose and mission on this planet. Okay, you may have times where you feel disorientated, foggy, disconnected from your body. You're seeing distorted images or you're hearing inner voices that aren't of love. And another one of those common inner voices that are spiritual infiltration is the critical parent voice, which keeps telling you you're no good, you're worthless, you're never going to heal, you're this, you're that. Okay, that's spiritual infiltration. Feeling like you're under psychic attacks, curses, or spells that you can't break. I can't tell you how many spiritual curses I have cleared in quantum freedom healings for people that once they're gone, people just completely break through whatever they couldn't. I can't tell you how many people over the last 20 years doing the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program have targeted curses in their body, got them off and out, and all of a sudden, all of these conditions in their life have reversed. The really interesting thing about curses, and we have to do this at the subconscious level because it's all energetic spiritual, can't be done logically sitting talking to somebody in their office. It doesn't work that way. Okay, it's a huge, huge deal, but it can be targeted and it can be found and it can be released. It really, really can. Psychic attack is something that happens under narcissistic abuse. And also too, it can happen with light bearers in the world, just with people. Okay, because what happens as a light bearer, when you're in integrity and authenticity, you don't play the game, you don't people please, just even without saying anything, you're yourself because you probably were born on this planet and you looked at people and you said, look, I just don't want to wear a mask and I just want to be honest. I don't want to be unreal and I don't want to live a lie. When you're in authenticity, doesn't mean you're perfect, doesn't mean you're not wounded, because you've got to work on those things. But if you're in authenticity, people that wear masks who don't want to be in authenticity, which means taking radical personal responsibility, being accountable and self-reflecting and looking at their wounds, it can trigger them so hard that they can set you up as a target. So you've probably had the experience as a light worker, and most people in this community are, that people just don't like you for no apparent reason. That's the reason. Now, what comes with that, if you come across dark souls, they can actually think really bad thoughts about you. They can put curses on you. They can do all sorts of things. However, no curse or vow can happen unless there's a part of you that accepts it. So when we've got that unhealed stuff from childhood where we were actually triggering people who were in their masks and their performance instead of presence, not perfection. They just weren't in presence. They could have projected their wounds into and onto you. That happens to empaths a lot. And that makes you susceptible for other people doing that stuff to you. Does that make sense? Now, also too, from past lives, and we've all been sinners and saints and perpetrators and victims, and we've all played roles and had the full gamut of experience. All four you were born for now, bringing all of this wisdom and spiritual experience and frequency on board to be able to heal yourself and others. You may have put vows and curses on yourself, and a lot of people have. So for example, let's say that you don't have your beautiful soulmate. You might have lost them in previous lives, and you made a vow to yourself, I am never going to be in love again to experience a loss like that again. Maybe that's on. Maybe you feel that as I'm talking about it. You might have put a vow or a curse on yourself of poverty because you had the programming and the conditioning and the environment that said that you can't be spiritual and abundant and prosperous at the same time, and God will only accept you if you have lack. So you put that curse on yourself, and it's played out for every lifetime since. So it's these hidden energetic agreements that we have put on ourselves, or projections that we have accepted that have embedded into our energy system, that are playing out hugely unconsciously below the level of the conscious mind in the deep subconscious, which the quantum subconscious work is all about, and very easy to find it, locate it, load it up, let it out, and replace it with higher self light codes, which means they're gone, which means your true life can begin. So that's the stuff that we are going to be doing. So psychic attack is really common with narcissistic abuse. And I just explained to you the mirror. If you've got somebody who's not in presence, who's in performance, and you are an authentic being, not perfect, not healed, but you landed here authentic. Most people in this community are real authentic people. Okay, and you've triggered up people who are hiding behind performances and masks and false selves. You have had a lot of psychic attack in your life because you terrify these people and you remind them of their own defectiveness. And that's why they cannot deal with you. Okay, who gets that now? Just say yes in the chat. Say me if that's happened to you. Say yes if you realize that this is exactly what you've been experienced probably for a lot of your life. So that's why this work is really, really important to you. It's very important. Because think of this too. If we don't get out of these skirmishes and these spiritual infiltrations, what's the cost? The cost is massive. It means that you feel depleted, that you're lacking energy, you may have health issues, you don't have the energy and the guidance and the power and the presence to get on your mission. It literally costs you in money because you're not free to create. It costs you great relationships because you're in a frequency battling these lower vibrations rather than transcending into higher vibrational relationships, including soulmates and soul partners. And it means that you're not safe and free to be yourself. That's probably one of the biggest costs. So this is really, really important light. Okay, so we're going to break down the hooks. Actually, before we do, so what are the big things that can happen to us in past lives, which were so many survival programs and so many horrible things happened to people who were connected to their body and the earth and source in unity consciousness? So many persecutions and terrible annihilation things happened, and there are still people carrying persecution programs to this day, which the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program helps you clear so powerfully. But when we have had exposure with somebody who's dark and fragmented, and we've gone through extreme trauma or abuse, Okay, and we've lost ourselves in the pain of that, and we've got involved in self-abuse through addictions, or even maybe rituals or spiritual practice without sovereignty and true source connection. What happens is we are very, very, very susceptible to spiritual infiltration, and also too through intimate connection with people with dark energy. And this is why it's really, really important to be very, very sovereign and very discerning about who you share your body with and why you're sharing your body. Because if it's out of sovereignty and wholesomeness, you could be really very open to not just psychic attack, but literal spiritual infiltration. Does that make sense? If that sends a chill down your spine because you know you've experienced it and you may have been susceptible to it, drop a yes in the chat. Okay? Because we need to be aware of this. Okay. But please don't think that you're stuck with this or to be terrified of this. You can take your power back with this. And it's what I love about the quantum work. It goes into the subconscious, it goes into the spiritual programs, it goes into the energy fields, and it heals what we cannot heal with information alone and talking. It does the real work on our being, because we are human beings. We're not human thinkings, we're human beings. And we're not human talkings, we're human beings. 95% of our life is going on in here, our subconscious programs, and that's what we need to work at. So let's talk about the hooks and how infiltration attaches. All right, boundary breaches. Every time your boundary gets breached, and a lot of us weren't good boundary setters through past lives. If I set a boundary, I'm going to get annihilated. So I'm going to people please instead. Okay, so through trauma that happens physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and boundary breaches. What's a boundary breach? This is my want, this is my need, this is my limit. This is what does or doesn't feel comfortable or safe to me. This is what infiltrates my requirement for empathy and care and kindness. That's a boundary breach, and dark entities do that consistently. So our abandonment and our unworthiness wounds can create portals for spiritual infiltration. Guilt and shame from our families, especially religious. And there's a big difference between guilt and shame. Guilt is a really positive emotion, because guilt is like, okay, well, I've done something wrong, and now I can work on that, and I can improve it, and I can step up, and I can be accountable, take responsibility, and make amends, and heal and grow. Shame is so different. Shame is, I'm wrong, I'm defective, it's too painful for me to take responsibility for that. So if we've got shame wounds, we need to really target those and heal those, because they're corners of your subconscious that are going to stay in darkness and keep perpetuating darkness and attracting darkness, where your life's not going to change. Now, if we've taken on that shame that could be very religious, that I'm defective, I'm wrong, I'm bad, healing needs to happen around that, and a lot of stuff can attach to that. Feelings of powerlessness or despair can bring on spiritual infiltration, and spiritual infiltration also causes those feelings. So it's kind of like a vicious loop, isn't it? Agreements made in other lifetimes or under duress. And we've talked about that briefly. Agreements or vows that we've made. So these wounds are acting like psychic back doors to you. And if you've been enmeshed with a narcissist or somebody carrying darkness, their energy can slip through these back doors and start influencing your system. It's definitely not your fault. It's not your fault. You never asked for it. This is not about blaming and shaming you, but it is your responsibility to clean house, which is your inner being. So reclaiming your sovereignty is about, as I said, first of all, waking up to this. And in many ways, this is a relief because you can go, well, this isn't all me. This is stuff that's been infiltrated onto me. And it's really good to know that I'm not defective, that these are actually things like curses or vows or psychic attacks or spiritual projections, psychic projections. And it could also even be tech. When we get into implants and tech, it's going to blow your mind. And I promise you, I have removed so many implants and tech from myself and also a lot of other people who were here for big things. And they were kind of like blocks and glass ceilings to try to stop you doing your mission. But once they get released, nothing's going to stop you. It's so exciting. So, in our spa for your soul, and you'll see the details above this live, above this video, it's a sacred healing event where we go quantum to talk about all of this, to remove the tech, clear the hooks, fortify your field. Because healing spiritual infiltration, it's not just about intention. Knowing about it isn't enough. It's about frequency. And we're going to do live quantum freedom healing shifts in the workshop where we're going to pinpoint and remove these implants and infiltrations. We're going to disconnect inverted timelines and attachments. We're going to reclaim your light from where it's been siphoned out of you and call back your power, your soul fragments, and your wholeness and protection in the light. We're going to anchor your energy field into that 5D light, purity and sovereignty, so that you can be more of this wholesome, authentic self without fear, with incredible divine protection and power and grace. So this is going to be a huge opportunity for you to understand this, get clear, not just emotionally, but spiritually in your energy field. So how does that sound? Let me know in the chat, because I am super excited about helping you out with this stuff. Let me know in the chat. Every time I've ever done work and put this out into the community about, are you infiltrated by psychic attack or psychic tech or vows or curses, or the response is unbelievable, because so many people feel like something's off and your intuition is telling you that there's something is. Okay. So if you haven't got your seat, get your seat. This is a pay what you wish event because I want everybody to have access to this. It's 3 hours. We're going to get a workbook. There's beautiful journaling in it. We're going to do amazing healings. But before we even do that on Tuesday, which for a lot of you in the States or Europe, it's going to be a Monday night, or it's going to be a Monday afternoon. For me, it's early Tuesday night. If you can't get to it live, you get the recording. You're not going to miss a thing. Okay, so you just really want to get a seat for this session. It's going to be amazing. But let's do a little invocation today. Let's do some power statements. Let's do some shifting and of frequency and energy right here, right now, because I want you to start feeling better today. So I want you to just breathe with me now, and I just want you to relax everything and open up your heart space and open up your body, and just start taking some deep breaths in and out, and just relax and just let everything go, knowing you don't have to be anywhere but right here, right now. And I want you to repeat after me with conviction. I now release all spiritual interference, implants, and psychic infiltration. What is not of my soul Source or light leaves now. I close all portals to darkness. I reclaim my soul, my sovereignty, and my ascension path. I am protected, clear, and whole. I am of the light. And the light is me. And just let that settle into your body. Just breathe that in. How does that feel? It may feel clean and smooth. It may feel like a relief. It may feel like it triggers stuff up and you start feeling more stuff. Just observe without judgment. Let me know in the chat how that feels. Let me know. So you've just made a declaration at the quantum level, but I want you to know declaration alone isn't enough. That starts getting you aligned with that. But we have lots of traumas and beliefs and tech and stuff literally in our energy field, in our being, energetically, that we need to release, because otherwise you'd be waking up every day and having to say that, and probably having to say that 5 times a day. And we don't want to live life in management. We want to live life from core healing release, where it no longer exists. There's a huge difference. Okay? And the cognitive way is management. The quantum way is I'm just not that person anymore. That's true for sovereignty and freedom. So that's what we're working at. But what's happened now through making that declaration is the field is starting to energize to support your healing and your path and your journey of making that real. Does that make sense? So it brought stuff up to release. It felt beautiful. It feels like my inner child can breathe a sigh of relief that it won't have to stay the way it's been. Yes, I love that, Kelly. It feels perfect now, ready to start my day. I love that. Leslie's saying it'll be amazing to shake this garbage off. Exactly. Is cigarette addiction an attack? Cigarette addiction is part of spiritual infiltration because it makes you believe that it's helping you, but it's actually destroying you. So darkness has got its way into your zeitgeist, to your belief systems, to your programs, but also too, like when we're doing any addiction that's diminishing our life force and our light force, which smoking does. And I used to smoke incessantly. I totally understand it. It's actually creating a portal for negative attachments as well. It's just the truth, okay? So, you know, it's something that once you heal it, lots of people on NARP have healed the cigarette addiction in exactly the same way that you heal from a narcissist. No contact, use the modules, let everything come up, release everything that does, replace it with light. Cigarette addiction is gone, usually within 3 days, just on module 1 alone. So, which is great. All right, so our workshop that I'm super duper excited about on Tuesday, it isn't a typical workshop. You can probably gather that from what I've been talking about. It's a 5th density ascension journey, which means that we're coming out of pain, fear, and suffering, which is the cycles of trauma and abuse, and we're going into freedom and sovereignty, which is 5th density, which is exactly the ascension journey. It means releasing our traumas and our false attachments and filling up with light and true attachment fulfillment with source. Because then all of life starts working, all our relationships, starting with the one with ourselves. So this workshop is for you if you felt hijacked by energies that aren't yours, human, non-human, still existing, or in the past that are still haunting you. Now, especially if you know that you're here for something bigger than the existence that you're having right now, but you're blocked and you just can't reach it. If you've had enough of fear, confusion, and psychic attack, and people, spewing their darkness all over you, if you're ready to embody your divine essence and start radiating it, this event, Spa for Your Soul, Freedom from Spiritual Infiltration, it's happening on July 15th, Australia time, early my morning. So that's Tuesday. It's Monday for a lot of you. And you can register by going to the link above. So it's melanietoniaevans.com/ascension. You'll see the link above and you can pay what you like to come into it. It's all about abundance and manifesting. So you're going to receive a live, very powerful quantum freedom healing session to start moving and releasing those subconscious hooks. You're going to have a beautiful Ascension workbook that you get to keep for life. You have access to giveaway and prizes. You enter into a draw to have a one-on-one quantum freedom healing with me, which is valued at $995 USD. You go in the draw to win that. The energetic uplift of our entire Ascension community. So click the link in the description above because it's time. The cost of not clearing this stuff is way too expensive. And your true life awaits you, and you deserve a clear, safe, spiritual, sovereign field where your true self can shine and where your light's not going to be dimmed and you don't have to dim it, most importantly. So thank you, Thrivers, for being with me today. It was a deep dive. Thank you for being brave enough to listen to and get into this topic. I'm looking forward to your questions and your comments, which I'm going to answer later today, and please send any that you're interested in, but just know a lot of them that we're going to be doing in the event on Tuesday. It's going to go for 3 hours. It might go longer. I know you're going to get so much out of it, and it's probably going to be life-changing for you. So if this resonated, please drop a comment. And also too, if you're brave enough to do it, to come out of the shadows and the closet, share it with your friends and your family, especially those who've been narcissistically abused, because it may just really resonate with them, and you might end up with another soul buddy who goes, oh wow, this crazy woman from Australia, something she said really made sense there. And they may even come into the soul spa with you, and now you've got a tribe member who's close to you. So be brave, share this, and let's rise together. That's what we're here to do. Thrive on beautiful souls. I love you so much, and I will see you on Tuesday in the event. Bye-bye.